You didn't land here by accident. You were led. There's something undeniable happening in your spirit right now. You feel it. That stirring, that pull, that inner knowing that something is shifting, and you can't explain it with logic, but your soul recognizes the signal. That's because this moment was already written into your story. And now, it's time. Chosen one, you are not here to blend in. You are not here to survive on autopilot. You were sent for such a time as this. And if you've been feeling the emotional waves, the sudden urges to isolate, the divine nudges that wake you up in the middle of the night, you're not crazy. You're awakening. So before we dive in, let me tell you this. You are not behind. You are not late. You are right on schedule. Everything you've walked through, the pain, the silence, the pruning, was preparing you for this exact moment. This isn't just a message. It's a spiritual ignition. Something sacred is about to unlock in you. And if your heart is beating faster right now, that's confirmation. You're not just receiving words. You're stepping into alignment. So lean in. Stay open. This is your sign. You're not just close. You're moments away from a level of clarity, power, and purpose that will change everything. Let's begin. Something in you knows this isn't just a rough patch. It's a spiritual pivot. The familiar is starting to feel foreign. What used to calm you now irritates your spirit. What once felt like home now feels too small, too shallow, too loud. This isn't confusion. It's clarity in disguise. You're not unraveling. You're being rerouted. There's a stirring deep within that's telling you, you can't stay here. Not mentally, not emotionally, not spiritually. Things are shifting. Relationships feel strained. Environments you once tolerated feel heavy. Your appetite for shallow conversations has disappeared. You've been waking up with a quiet urgency that you can't quite explain. That's not exhaustion. That's divine invitation. You're being drawn away, not to isolate, but to recalibrate. What's falling apart around you isn't the end. It's the excavation before elevation. You've asked for more, and now heaven is answering, not with glitter, but with growth. And growth often looks like losing what no longer matches your mission. That discomfort, it's sacred. That tension, it's targeted. You're not losing your grip. You're loosening your hold on what you've outgrown. The habits, the mindsets, the distractions, they're being peeled away so you can step into clarity. God isn't tearing you down. He's tuning you in. Feel God's love stirring within you. Don't let it stop there. Hit the super thank you button and sow a seed of $20 or more. That simple act can ignite hope, heal hearts, and carry His love further than you imagine. You were made to shine His light. This is your moment. Be the miracle someone's been praying for. Let heaven move through you. You've probably been keeping your distance lately, not because you're bitter, but because your spirit is craving purity. You're not rejecting people. You're reaching for peace. This quiet season isn't punishment. It's preparation. The pruning you're experiencing isn't the end of something. It's the beginning of something unshakable. Things that used to make you feel alive now seem loud and lifeless. That's not nostalgia. That's your soul refusing to settle. There's a new level waiting, but it can't coexist with the noise of your old one. So heaven is cutting the cords, quietly, strategically, lovingly. Every moment of stillness right now is a classroom. Every closed door is a reroute. Every moment of agitation is a signal. You're not breaking down. You're being broken open. You're not retreating. You're being repositioned. You're not giving up. You're getting clear. Let what's fading go. It had its season, it did its job, but it cannot follow you into what's next. And what's next requires space, stillness, surrender. You don't need more noise, you need more nearness. This isn't burnout, this is breakthrough. And no, it doesn't look flashy, it doesn't feel comfortable, but it's holy. It's the kind of shift that happens before rebirth. You are not behind. You are being rebuilt. From the core, let the silence speak. Let the stretching continue. Let the old peel away without protest. You're not collapsing, you're being called higher. And once the dust settles, you'll look back and realize, this wasn't the end. It was the unveiling. Step beyond the screen. Join and help light the way for others. There's a shift happening inside you. And it's not confusion. It's confirmation. Lately, you've felt things more deeply. Moments hit harder. Small words carry weight. You catch energy without effort. You've walked into rooms and sensed what wasn't being said. And when the tears come, they don't ask for permission. They flow without warning, washing through you like a quiet wave that carries meaning beyond logic. You're not unraveling, you're tuning in. This emotional depth you're walking through is not weakness, it's wisdom in the making. You're not losing control. You're learning how to interpret what others ignore. The heaviness, the tenderness, the unexpected stillness. It's all evidence that your soul is being fine-tuned. You've been asking for clarity, and God is answering by making you more receptive. This isn't about being sensitive in the way the world defines it. This is about having a soul that's sensitive to heaven's rhythm. Your capacity to feel is being expanded, not to overwhelm you, but to equip you. Where you once blocked emotion to cope, now you're being asked to allow it, to let it speak, guide, and shape your next steps. This isn't emotional chaos, it's sacred alignment. You're being reconnected to parts of yourself that were silenced. You're being invited to move not just from logic, but from intuition, spirit-led, heart-anchored, divinely aware. The vulnerability you feel is not instability, it's divine access. You're being given a clearer signal, one that picks up not just on words, but on spiritual shifts. You can feel change before it arrives. You can discern the difference between performance and presence. This is the soil from which intercessors rise. This is the texture of spiritual leadership. The ache you feel for injustice, the joy that surprises you mid-silence, the heaviness you carry for others. It's not emotional baggage, it's divine empathy. You're not going backwards, you're being prepared to carry sacred things. The same tears that once felt like weakness are now washing away the barriers between you and your calling. And while others may call it being too much, heaven calls it capacity. You're not just more emotional, you're more equipped. And as this new level of sensitivity grows, so will your ability to walk into dark places with light, to hold space for others, to recognize truth without needing explanation. What you're feeling isn't random, it's revelation. You're not becoming fragile, you're becoming forged. The world may not always understand it, but those who are meant to be impacted by you will feel it before you even speak. Step beyond the screen. Join and help light the way for others. This is not about managing emotions. This is about maturing through them. You're being sculpted to lead with compassion, to speak from conviction, and to live with spiritual depth. The transformation is internal, but the fruit will be undeniable. Chosen one, this sensitivity is your spiritual strength, and it's only just beginning to bloom. There's a reason your days feel unfamiliar, and your moments feel stretched. Your spirit is entering deeper waters. The hours slip by or slow down, not because you're distracted, but because your inner world is expanding beyond ordinary rhythm. What once felt structured now feels fluid. What used to anchor your schedule no longer holds the same meaning. And it's not burnout, it's not fatigue, it's a spiritual shift. You're not detaching from reality. You're being invited into a higher realm of awareness. Time, as you've known it, is unraveling. The old structure of days and duties can no longer contain the new dimension your soul is touching. You've begun to notice that silence holds more than sound ever could, that a pause in conversation, a sudden stillness in the air, carries something sacred. You're becoming fluent in a language beyond words, tuned to a cadence the world doesn't hear. Your patterns are being rewritten. You're feeling disconnected from noise, not because you're withdrawing, but because your spirit has outgrown shallow frequency. You're not uninterested in people. You just crave depth. The clock ticks, but you're tuned to something else now. Divine momentum. When your heart is full of God's love, it's a sign to give. By tapping the super thank you button and offering $100 or more, you become a vessel of His grace. Your generosity can change lives, reaching hearts you may never meet. You have a divine purpose, and this act of faith carries His light forward. Give now, and may His blessings surround you always. The space between thoughts has widened, and in that space, there's wisdom waiting. You're not behind. You're being trained to recognize what most miss, sacred moments wrapped in ordinary ones. You may not be moving fast, but you're being moved intentionally. If time feels strange, it's because heaven is adjusting your tempo. You're being drawn away from distractions so you can discern divine patterns. Conversations that once filled the air now feel hollow. Routines you once found comfort in now feel too tight. Your soul is requesting more room, more meaning, and that request is being answered. Waking up at odd hours, feeling like something is near but not visible, sensing direction without clear explanation. These are not coincidences. They are spiritual cues, indicators that you're being prepared in a hidden classroom for something your calendar can't contain. There's a stillness that only shows up when heaven is trying to speak, and you're learning to stay with it, to let the discomfort breathe, to stop resisting the quiet, because in the still places, you're being handed the blueprint for your next. You weren't made for rush. You weren't made to move in sync with noise. You were made for divine appointments, and they don't run on earthly schedules. While others chase speed, you're being called into stillness with purpose. You're not out of step. You're in divine rhythm. What feels like waiting is actually spiritual acceleration. The world may not understand your pause, but the Spirit is downloading instruction in the silence. So don't panic when the day slips by and you can't explain why. Don't shrink back when the familiar starts to feel foreign. This is part of the stretching. This is the sacred reset. And the ones who recognize this shift, the ones who lean into it, are the ones being positioned to carry something eternal. There's a reason your nights no longer feel quiet. Your spirit is being summoned beyond what the mind can explain. While others sleep and forget, you close your eyes and find yourself stepping into scenes that feel as if they've been waiting for you. The colors, the faces, the moments, they carry a weight your waking world can't define. You're not confused. You're not imagining things. Something sacred is happening in your sleep, and it's because your spirit is being activated on a higher level. Lately, your dreams have deepened. The symbols linger. The emotions stay with you long after sunrise. You've seen places you've never visited in the physical, but feel oddly familiar to your soul. Numbers repeat, faces return, environments unfold with intensity. You've stood in places drenched with purpose. being handed instructions, walking paths that feel like assignments, encountering presence that shifts something deep inside. This isn't entertainment, it's education. You are being shown what cannot be spoken to your waking ears. What you're seeing in the still hours is not fantasy, it is spiritual intel. You're not escaping reality, you're stepping into a layer of it most never tap into. These dreams are messages in motion. They are personalized, encrypted downloads meant to bypass logic and land straight in your knowing. That moment where a phrase stuck in your dream loops in your mind all day, that was a seed. That light that surrounded you, that was not emotion, it was encounter. Your spirit is moving while your body rests. And when the assignment on your life reaches a certain threshold, heaven begins to deliver insight when your walls are down. You're not being haunted, you're being handed blueprints. You're not being chased by shadows, you're being trained to overcome what used to scare you. Visions, impressions, phrases, even silence, they're all part of how you're being guided. You may have seen a key in your hand, a garment on your shoulders, or walked through a gate. These are more than metaphors. They're heavenly signals marking the stages of your becoming. There will be nights when you wake up with your heart pounding, unable to explain why. You feel as if you've been somewhere else. That's because you have. Your soul remembers. And what feels like fragments are actually pieces of a picture that's being revealed over time. The presence you felt, the name you heard whispered, the inner sense that something was imparted even though words weren't spoken. These are moments of sacred transaction. And if your sleep feels busier than your waking life, it's because your destiny is being downloaded while the world is quiet. So when you wake up at specific hours, 2 o'clock, 3:30, 6:20, and you feel alert before the sun rises, don't dismiss it. Pause, listen, pray. You're not being disturbed, you're being directed. And when the same symbols, numbers, or patterns keep appearing, it's not coincidence, it's confirmation. You're not just dreaming, you're receiving. And the more you lean in, the clearer it becomes. What feels like mystery today will reveal meaning tomorrow. Because in this season, heaven is not speaking through routine. Heaven is speaking through revelation. And you're one of the few being entrusted with it. Something inside of you has shifted, and the change is unmistakable. What used to satisfy you now leaves you restless. What once seemed harmless now feels heavy. You've started reaching for water when you'd normally grab sugar. Silence calls to you louder than any screen. Conversations that once entertained now feel like clutter. That is not a mood swing. It's spiritual sensitivity increasing. There's a quiet nudge rising from within, guiding you to strip away what no longer serves your assignment. You feel drawn to clear your home, your calendar, your plate, even your feed, not for trends or appearances, but because your spirit is preparing for something weighty. That voice telling you to take a break from certain foods, to unplug from noise, to walk away from draining connections, it's not random, it's sacred. You're not running from the world, you're making space for heaven. This inner call to simplify is not about legalism, it's about capacity. Something divine is about to rest on you. And clutter, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, cannot coexist with what's coming. This isn't just about detoxing your body, it's about detoxing your destiny. Every choice you're making now is recalibrating your sensitivity to divine instruction. You're noticing that when you fast, your spirit clears up. When you step away from the noise, you hear more than silence. You hear direction. When you say no to indulgence, you're saying yes to power. You've been feeling drawn to remove things that once comforted you. The snacks, the scrolling, the small talk, the noise that filled space. It now feels like static, interrupting a sacred frequency. You are being emptied, not to feel deprived, but to be filled with something that can only arrive in stillness. The old cravings are fading not by force, but by revelation. You're not trying to be better. You're responding to a deeper pull, one that's aligning your body, mind, and spirit into a unified vessel. The cleaning out of your life, both inside and out, is not a trend. It's an answer to a spiritual summons. You've likely felt the urge to unplug for a day, to drink only water, to go silent without explanation, to say no when saying yes would have been easier. That's not extremism, it's refinement. You are being polished into precision. You've noticed that when you fast, your dreams grow vivid. When you pull back from distractions, clarity walks in. These are not just responses, they are rewards. A cleaner vessel carries clearer vision. And where you're headed, that clarity will be essential. This season is not about deprivation, it's about preparation. What you're giving up isn't loss, it's leverage. You're trading what's temporary for what's eternal. You're not just skipping meals or muting people, you're stepping into consecration. Yes, it may feel strange, others may not understand, but deep down, you know you're not being extreme, you're being exact. You're getting ready for something bigger than comfort. Assignment. Honor the prompting, trust the silence. Let your body mirror what your spirit is doing, making room for glory. What you're walking through isn't a phase, it's purification. And on the other side is power. There's something stirring inside you that no longer fits in the ordinary. You're not imagining the shift. You're responding to a spiritual signal. What's rising within you now isn't emotional fluctuation. It's spiritual recognition. You're beginning to perceive with more than your senses. You're catching what isn't said. You're sensing what isn't seen. You're knowing things you were never taught. And that's not a coincidence. The way you move through the world is changing. You walk into places and feel the temperature of the room before a word is spoken. You can sense heaviness in someone's smile, discern motives behind polite tones, and feel deeply pulled toward people or situations without a logical reason. What once felt like being too sensitive is now revealing itself as spiritual strength. You've been nudged in the quiet, urged to speak when something didn't sit right, prompted to pray at unexpected moments, stirred to write, draw, sing, or create without knowing why. These aren't just passing moods, they're keys unlocking assignments. You're being handed tools that don't fit into man-made categories because your purpose isn't man-made, it's heaven sent. Some of you are sensing new patterns, repeating numbers, symbols in your dreams, random moments that seem orchestrated. It's not randomness, it's divine rhythm. Others of you are noticing your hands feel different, warmer, heavier, alive with energy. You're waking from sleep with vivid scenes still pulsing in your memory. You hear a name in your spirit and later cross paths with that very person. This isn't your mind playing games. This is your spiritual wiring being activated. The gifts you carry are not waking up by accident. They're waking up on schedule. There's been a holy clock inside of you, counting down to this moment. And now that it's time, you're being pulled out of hiding, not for fame, but for function. Not for spotlight, but for sacred service. Maybe you felt hesitant to show your spiritual side. Maybe your clarity has made others uncomfortable, but your design was never meant to be dulled down, to fit in. It was meant to shine as instruction for others to find their way. You weren't built to echo what's popular. You were crafted to deliver what's pure. And yes, it may feel foreign at first. It might feel intense, raw, even strange. But the unease will soon give way to understanding. You were made for this. Every stirring in your spirit is confirmation that heaven trusts you with influence in unseen realms. If your hands want to create, create. If your spirit pushes you to speak up, speak. If your intuition warns or directs, listen. These aren't small moments. They are sacred intersections. Your gifts were planted for impact, and now the roots are pressing through the surface. When your heart is full of God's love, it's a sign to give. By tapping the super thank you button and offering $100 or more, you become a vessel of His grace. Your generosity can change lives, reaching hearts you may never meet. You have a divine purpose, and this act of faith carries His light forward. Give now, and may His blessings surround you always. Don't minimize what's waking up in you just because others aren't ready to understand it. You weren't built to blend in. You were sent to illuminate. This world doesn't need more noise. It needs your clarity, and your gift is part of that answer. So step into it without hesitation. You're not making this up. You're being moved into divine function. The weight you feel, its purpose. The intensity, its activation. And the world is about to witness what heaven always knew was inside of you. There's a stirring inside you that won't settle, a quiet fire that flickers even when everything around you seems still. You've been carrying an invisible weight, a sacred tension, a deep inner sense that something monumental is on the edge of emerging. No one else may see it, but you can feel it. You're not restless without cause. You're not emotional without reason. What you're sensing is not confusion, it's calibration. You are being aligned with an unseen move that's about to unfold. The pull you feel? It's not pressure, it's propulsion. Your spirit knows what your mind can't yet explain. Change is not coming. It's already here, pushing from the inside out. Your inner life has been stretching. Some days you felt too full for where you are, too alert for the silence around you. You're standing between seasons, holding both who you were and who you're becoming at the same time. That heaviness isn't burden, it's birth. What you've endured has not been without purpose. Every time the process felt like delay, it was actually preparation. The tension in your chest, the pause in your plans, the resistance in your atmosphere, none of it was random. You were being ushered into position. You weren't stuck, you were being steadied. The moments when it felt like everything was closing in were really moments when the heavens were closing gaps between what is and what must be. You're being expanded to carry what's coming. Your character has been tested in the quiet. Your obedience has been refined in the shadows. And now, the door is beginning to unlock. You may have felt like you were being pushed to your limits, but in truth, you were being pulled to your launch point. The discomfort was sacred. The inner shaking was holy. What's been forming in the background is about to break through in the forefront, and it won't be subtle. This shift isn't minor. It's movement. It's the kind that resets atmospheres and redefines timelines. When it comes, it will come suddenly, but everything about it will feel like something you've known all along. That's because your soul has been waiting for this activation. You've been entrusted with too much to stay where you are. This next level doesn't just open to you, it opens through you. It's not just your transformation on the line, it's the unlocking of every life connected to your assignment. So do not shrink now. Do not fall into fear because things feel unfamiliar. This moment is sacred ground. Keep your heart soft, your spirit sharp, and your hands open. What's about to burst forth isn't just for your elevation, it's for divine evidence. And when the shift comes, because it will, you won't rise hoping it's time. You'll rise knowing the preparation made you ready. What once pressed you down will now propel you forward. What once made you cry will become what makes others healed. You're not cracking. You're cracking open. You're not unraveling. You're unfolding. You weren't just called, you were cultivated. And now, the release is near. Prepare to walk through what's been waiting on you.